Welcome back to Mecha March Madness. And I know some of you are a little disappointed that I have yet to talk about the more popular robots, but that's not the point of this event. We're gonna make this an annual thing for a reason. There are a lot of robots to go over. And I wanted to talk about some of the more obscure ones, because it's a little ridiculous just how often Robotnik has attempted to emulate Sonic's power with a double. It's happened so often that sometimes they just end up as set dressing in a video game. Such is the case with today's doppelganger. This unnamed Sonic robot appears in Eggman's Jungle Base in Sonic Adventure. Back in 1999, I just took this to be Silver Sonic from Sonic 2, but any obsessive Sonic fan will tell you that there are some details that don't mesh with what we've seen before. And because I love to pick apart crap like this, that will be our focus for today. And bear with me because this is the only place where this design exists in the games, so expect to see a lot of this tube and idle animation. We'll throw in some slow zooms here, a transition to a slow crawl over there, maybe take it vertical every now and then to spice things up. Got a real thrilling video for you today, guys. Thankfully, we also have a friend joining us to help liven things up. Chaomix will be joining me in uncovering this metallic mystery.
Hey everyone, chaomix here. Thanks for having me on, Nick. I'm ecstatic to be on the show. I'm actually a huge longtime fan of the channel, so this is like a dream come true to me. Anyways, this guy right here. He's always been super mysterious. Ever since I first played this game back in the day, I've always been so mystified by his abrupt and unexplained appearance. You're kind of just making your way to the next level and bam, there he is. He's just impossible to miss. Hovering in a tube. Menacingly. Who even is he? What does he do? I'll fully admit, we really don't have a lot to work with here. As Nick already mentioned, he only appears in this game. And yeah, I hate to break it to you, you've kind of already seen the full extent of his appearance, at least in the games. But overanalyzing things to the point of absurdity is what Nick and I do best. And he's got a few other interesting cameos outside of the games we can also talk about. So let's work with what we have and see what we can explain, assume, and theorize about this metallic sardine in a can. Or I guess he's more so like a pickled robot brining overnight in his jar. He's like the Zordon of Metal Sonics. Okay, I'll stop now.
So let's ask the obvious question and give the obvious answer. What is the point of this robot? Well, if we're going to be as boring as possible, it's more than likely that Sonic Team just placed this robot here in reference to past battles. More specifically, the battles with the two Mecha Sonics, in Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 and Knuckles. And Metal Sonic is here because, well, you kinda need Metal Sonic here if you have Mecha Sonic. And they didn't need to tweak his design. He came into the franchise fully formed and ready to race. Metal was already iconic by this point. No real need to tweak that look. And honestly, it was really nice to see him here back in the day. This established his existence in this fresh adventure redesign, and also his character model is a massive step up from what we had in Sonic R. God, that balloon head, woof.
Hey, he's trying his best out there.
This other guy, well, like I said, he obviously represents the two lesser known mechas, and instead of creating multiple models of what we fought in the other two games, we instead get this mishmash. He has that bolted iron look of Silver Sonic, and roughly the same proportions, or at least what I assume is about the same proportions from what I can make out from that old sprite. And I guess I can also see some of Mecha Sonic's look in the gauntlets and booties and the darker color, I guess, kinda. That one's a little bit of a stretch, but you can see some obvious parallels in the design with those previous two robots. Still, there are certain design choices that deviate quite a bit from both Mecha and Silver Sonic. The most glaring example being that glaring eyeball. Now, art does show a consistent Cyclops design between all three of the robots, but the visors are all strikingly different. And if all these patterns were just lazy repeats of textures found elsewhere in the game, I'd probably just leave the analysis at that. But look at this intricate detail provided to what is essentially a prop.
Yeah, this guy is extremely detailed for a mostly inanimate set piece, isn't he? And you've probably already noticed just how deadly he looks. He's so gritty and industrial looking, definitely not as sleek and streamlined as Metal Sonic. He also just has so many points and angles on him, so I'd hope that Sonic and pals are up to date with their tetanus shots. Another interesting detail I noticed are the spines on his head. He seems to be missing the bottom spines you'd normally find on each side of Sonic's head. He's only got the top set. I'd imagine this is to make sure that his spines wouldn't get in the way of articulation, since solid metal cones hanging down your back would probably really get in the way, like all the time. This robot is basically the Terminator version of Metal Sonic. Everything about him screams,
Hasta la vista, baby.
Even if only going off looks, I definitely wouldn't want to get caught in this guy's crossfire. He seems like the kind of guy with an unnerving amount of persistence who would eventually hunt you down no matter how far away you run off to. So although we don't know much about this robot, there's still a lot we can theorize and assume based on his design alone. He definitely seems like a more lethal version of our old pal Metal Sonic. However, it kind of looks like he's in an incomplete state to me, not entirely built out and polished. His joints and limbs seem kind of brittle, especially compared to the bulky metal plates he has on everywhere else. And I think this could explain why we never see him in action. He was never ready to face Sonic by the time we encountered him in Sonic Adventure, and Eggman's defeat probably killed any chance of finishing him up. I could totally be wrong about him being unfinished though, but I kind of always just got that vibe from his appearance. Another thing I'm really leaning towards is that his overall functions would be almost the complete opposite of Metal Sonic's. While Metal Sonic is built for speed, this guy looks like he focuses more on power. The first reason I believe this is because his legs look much more archaic compared to Metal Sonic. He'd most likely use the wheels on his feet as well as the thrusters on his heels to propel himself forward. Dude, imagine trying to walk down a flight of stairs with these things. There's just no way it's happening, man. He also has a much thicker frame which could allow him to be an absolute tank and absorb lots of incoming damage. On top of this, he's got these machine gun fingers, meaning he's got at least 10 orifices on his body to shoot stuff out of. At least. Sega, are there some extra details you aren't showing us? His eyes definitely look like they're meant for scanning his surroundings, maybe being able to detect signs of life? Kind of like the Scouters from Dragon Ball Z. He may also be specifically fine-tuned to scan and hunt down Sonic, being able to pick up on any trace like visual information, sounds, smell. Wow, I've never thought about this, but what do you think Sonic even smells like? I'd probably guess chili dogs and BO from all that running he does. I don't think you need a fine-tuned robot in order to track that down.
Can you imagine what that kind of diet does to a digestive tract? Maybe that's Sonic's actual power. Crop dusting.
More evidence to support my theory of him being more combat focused are the pure amount of spikes and sharp bits found all over his body. Anything even thinking about getting close to this boy is getting poked. Yeah, he wouldn't really do well at children's birthday parties. He's also got these rocket thrusters on his arms which could be used for potential bone-shattering punches. With all that being said, he just seems much more combat-oriented than pretty much any other Sonic mech we've seen at this point. My final theory, and I really have no evidence for this, is that he's got this design on his chest that looks like it could potentially flap open to, I don't know, House of Chaos Emerald? I wouldn't be surprised if he had some ability to utilize the immense energy of the Chaos Emeralds to power himself up or gain certain abilities.
That's a good point, especially when you consider the last time we faced Mecha Sonic was with a super form after he absorbed energy from the Master Emerald. Chaomix has a lot of solid ideas about this design. I would honestly love to know if there were deeper intentions for this robot. Unfortunately, I have yet to find any solid answers on that front. I reached out to Sonic's creative director on Twitter and all I got from him was him saying this wasn't his design.
Similar to Metal Knuckles, I'm hoping someone who was on the staff of Sonic Team at the time will eventually tell us who was responsible for this guy's design.
Yeah, that's kind of why I reached out to him. He was the one that dropped that random bit of information. I was kind of hoping he might do the same, but what can you do? What I think is truly interesting about this robot is the fact that he's existing alongside Metal Sonic, meaning that he has a function outside of what Metal can provide. Like CM laid out, all these little details in his design indicate as such, from his glowing Carlite eye to his Dragon Zord missile fingers. This does also throw a lot of fan theories into question. There are a lot of folks that would argue that Sonic CD takes place after the core trilogy because Metal Sonic is obviously the final robot design that Robotnik stuck with, since he's the only one that really reappears game after game. So it would make sense that Eggman would work on the Mecha Sonic designs and then finalize with Metal. But with both of them here, one could assume that they were both built parallel with one another and both serve separate functions. And there's something that I should also clarify. I keep calling this mysterious robot Mecha Sonic because most of Japanese media for the Sonic games always called these secondary Sonic bots Mecha Sonic. Since Japan kept that consistent naming convention, it's pretty clear that Mecha Sonic from Sonic 3 and Knuckles is an upgrade from Silver Sonic in Sonic 2. This has led many to believe that the Adventure model is an upgrade to the S3K version, which I find questionable simply because we all know that the S3K mecha is hands down the coolest design when you compare him to the other two, but maybe this robot actually serves to be a proper emulation of Sonic, as opposed to Metal, who was designed to match and surpass Sonic's speedy abilities. Maybe Mecha is here to serve form over function. Maybe he's more like Mecha Knuckles, who's there to be more of an imposter. And Eggman just hasn't gotten around to giving him skin. I mean, really, you can make a compelling case that this robot has more comparable design elements to Mecha Knuckles than any Sonic bot we've seen thus far. But putting design aside for a second, let's consider the possible narrative function of this robot. I don't know about the rest of you, but I first saw this robot late in the campaign of Sonic himself, and they're just kinda there. No fanfare, and you can just zip right by them if you're not paying attention. But when you play as Gamma, Mecha is right there in the opening seconds. I feel like the two Sonic bots are here to indicate just how important the E100 line of robots were supposed to be. No matter what you called them, anytime you fought a Robo-Sonic in the games, they were always near the end of your adventure, being one of the last fights and usually being one of the most challenging. They were supposed to be a big deal. And here you are, in control of the actual next generation of killer badniks, and it's sitting right alongside some of the most dangerous robots we have seen in the series. And yeah, that logic basically means that Mecha Sonic is only here to play up the importance of the character you're playing, and all of that wouldn't matter anyway since Gamma wouldn't be seen in the games after this, and we would go right back to Sonic clones and Metal Sonic himself. But hey, it's still something. Like I keep stressing, we've got this one model to work off of, so give us a break. No, I guess that's not entirely true though, is it? And if you have been on my channel for a while, it shouldn't come as any surprise to learn that this robot actually has a full issue dedicated to him in the Archie Sonic run. They brought this sucker in as an epilogue story to their Sonic Adventure tie-in, dubbing him Silver Sonic 2. He was a direct sequel to the Death Egg duplicate, and Mecha Sonic was its own thing. We do not have time for that today, I am sorry. But yeah, the art is as iffy as ever, and this really was a throwaway issue. But there are a couple of important notes in terms of Archie canon that take place, and at the same time, it's still a little surreal seeing this robot get any kind of attention, even if the comics aren't considered game canon. Here he has something of a personality. I think he's just supposed to be a jerk version of Sonic, and he comes equipped with laser eyes, rockets, gauntlet missiles, and horrible, cringy one-liners. He shows up during Station Square's celebration of the Freedom Fighters defeating Chaos and chasing off Robotnik, and Eggy releases the robot as one final attempt to take over the town. Silver Sonic attacks, and to nobody's surprise, by the end of the book, Sonic takes him out with relative ease after Silver loses a foot and clocks Tails right in the head. Sonic gets real ticked off, even though he is the reason the robot lost a foot to begin with. It's not like Silver Sonic deliberately concussed the Fox, and with one decisive spin dash, Silver Sonic is decapitated. Not sure why Sonic didn't just lead with that move, but you know, whatever.
Well, Sonic isn't exactly one for efficiency. This dude takes public transit throughout all of Sonic Adventure.
By the end of it, the Freedom Fighters leave Station Square, but Eggman goes strolling down the street looking for his robot like some old man who still thinks geocaching's cool. And he does indeed stumble upon his wayward robot. But as it turns out, Tails reprograms Silver Sonic to be Station Square's protector and chases the good doctor out of town. To be honest, it's a pretty flimsy excuse as to why Robotnik would not attempt to take Station Square again in the future. In this canon, this was the one city he had not yet taken over. But hey, it's about as good of an excuse as you were ever gonna get from this series back in the day. And you know what? Silver Sonic 2 puts up a pretty good fight, having more armaments than any Sonic bot up to that point in the story. And even back then, I was not a huge fan of the narrative and artwork around this time of the book, but I was still pretty happy to see this mechanical menace get some kind of use at all. And outside of that hideous sneer, it's pretty close to the design we see in the game. Looks like they studied the design and wrung out every bit of potential story they could possibly find. So good on them. He would show up one more time in the comic, and not only was he used in a plot point to tie up Sonic Adventure's plot, he was also used to help kickstart the story for Sonic Adventure 2. Turns out, while Silver Sonic was chasing Eggman, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall into a secret bunker of Gerald Robotnik. Yeah, he just accidentally ran into the plot of the next game. This is how the story starts, according to the comic book. I don't know if this is where Robotnik found all the information on Gerald and his secret Project Shadow, or if he literally accidentally ran into Shadow himself. Doesn't really matter either way, because we have a little bit of a time skip where we see Shadow sneaking into Station Square to steal the Green Chaos Emerald and is confronted by Silver Sonic 2. who is taken out in an instant. And that's it. That's the most we got from this character. It was nice to see him drawn by Spaz, and the fight with Shadow is a cool concept, even though there's not really more than just a panel of dynamic poses. Sorry, Silver Sonic. That's all you're gonna get. All but forgotten. Except by blue-haired anime man. I wonder if this is Sonic Man's origin story. And look, I'll be honest with you guys, if you can't tell by now, we're stretched pretty thin in terms of content. While I do find this robot interesting, the allure is mostly from not having information to work off of. I know I tend to advocate for some obscure characters and forms fairly hard, but when it comes right down to it, I don't find this design or this robot all that impressive when you compare it to what else we have. If this was indeed the next evolution of the Mecha Sonic line, I would have been pretty disappointed, as 3K Mecha Sonic is still hands down one of the coolest robot designs in this series, and this is absolutely a step down. And if they just tweak something a little bit, like maybe make his yellow eye look a little more similar to what we had in Sonic 2, he'd just be a footnote at the end of a video pertaining to that specific robot. And honestly, that's probably still gonna happen whenever we cover that specific doppelganger. It's these small little details that differentiate him from other Sonic robots that truly make him interesting, but if they had properly modeled him after one of the old robots, we honestly wouldn't have anything to talk about. I'm not saying I'd hate to see this design used again in the future, but it's far from my first choice. And even if it did, I'd probably just respond with a, oh hey, that's pretty cool, but where's the better Mecha Sonic? As it is, this is just an interesting little talking point to ponder over for a little while. So I hope you enjoyed this lovely little waste of time, and thank you so much to chaomix for joining me on this pointless thought experiment.
No problem, thanks for having me on, man. I do weekly Sonic related video essays on my channel, so if you're into that kind of stuff, which, come on, I know you are, Nick's the best at this stuff, and if you're here, well, I know you all have some good taste in YouTube videos. But yeah, check out my channel too, I'd like to think it's in that same realm. Peace out, everyone.
Thank you guys so much for watching today. I greatly appreciate your time and patience considering this topic. And for real, chaomix is up and coming. He does great stuff, and he did the artwork for this thumbnail. He does it for all of his thumbnails on his channel. If you like goofy stuff like this, he does some pretty great things as well. He did a whole video on the Burger Man from Sonic Adventure. You can't beat that. That reminds me, man, I definitely need to go to your Etsy store and order a print of that because that is glorious. So yeah, if you're interested, I'm gonna have links below. Go check him out, seriously. There's no stopping his upward momentum, so might as well jump on the hype train. And a massive thank you to Kenny, who created the logo for this marathon. I'm gonna be using this every year. I love this thing so much. I also, of course, need to thank all the patrons who've been supporting me over on Patreon. They're all lovely people. I've honestly had some amazing chats with them over on our Discord server. And yeah, if you feel like supporting the channel, you can always check out my Patreon. Just a single dollar gets you a whole bunch of stuff. And of course, got a Twitter where I'm posting weird crap all the time, and a Discord where I'm going to be hopping into after I'm done uploading this video. So come say hi. Hope to see you there. And yeah, that's a lot of thank yous, and that's a lot of stuff to check out. So I highly recommend that you do. Just click on the description button, hit any of those links I'm recommending to you right now. Go check out chaomix, go check out Kenny, go check out our Twitter and our Discord, and yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Toot toot, Mecha Warriors.